For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. A famous fortune teller, the new Baba Vanga, frightens Japan. Locals and tourists are fleeing the islands in panic before July 5. The so-called new Baba Vanga has caused widespread fear in Japan with her prophecy about a catastrophic disaster set to strike the country with a devastating tsunami on July 5. Many people have taken the warning seriously. Mass evacuations from Japan's islands are already underway, especially since the date falls on a weekend. Tourists from both nearby and distant countries are canceling their planned visits to Japan or are outright refusing to be anywhere near the country on July 5. The reason is Ryo Tatsuki, a Japanese manga artist who is rapidly gaining global fame. What's even more surprising for us Bulgarians is that both the Japanese and the international community have officially started calling her the new Baba Vanga, with Baba spelled with a capital letter, as it is seen as part of the legendary Bulgarian prophetess's name. The prophecy, which predicts a large-scale catastrophe in Japan, was actually made years ago, but has only recently gained attention. The book's Ryo Tatsuki is known as a master of illustrated books, specifically Japanese manga comics. She became a phenomenon due to her prophetic manga book, The Future I Saw. In it, she predicted natural disasters and the deaths of famous people with disturbing accuracy. When it was published in the 1990s, the manga seemed like a curious oddity. Today, it has become a cult classic, and surviving copies sell for astronomical prices. Several of her predictions have already come true, while others still loom, keeping people on edge. Tatsuki began her career as a manga artist or mangaka in the 1970s. She claims that in the 1980s she began having strange and frightening dreams. For years, she kept most of these visions to herself, publishing only a few. But in 1999, she released The Future I Saw, which included many of her dreams, offering specific dates and details of impending disasters. Initially, the book attracted little interest and was forgotten until March 11, 2011. When Japan was hit by a catastrophic earthquake and the infamous tsunami, followed by the Fukushima nuclear disaster. This chain of events was predicted with eerie accuracy in her book. The processes leading to the disaster were described in detail. The book and her earlier works suddenly became cult classics. A first edition of The Future I Saw now sells for 10 zloty and has been reprinted multiple times. But the manga contains one more prediction that's currently terrifying Japan, an event expected to happen on July 5, 2025. More prophecies. As people revisited Tatsuki's works, they found disturbing coincidences that made it seem as if she had truly seen the future. Fulfilled predictions include The death of Freddie Mercury in 1991, Princess Diana's tragic crash in 1997, the 1995 Kobe earthquake, the 2011 tsunami, the global COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, all described in haunting detail. Her manga even warns that the COVID-19 pandemic will return around 2030, and that it will be far more terrifying. Japanese social media is currently in a frenzy ahead of July 5. Many believe the date will bring a chain of earthquakes, followed by massive tsunamis that will flood large parts of Japan. What does Ryo say? Ryo herself says these were dreams from 10, 15, or even more years ago, and she doesn't believe in them literally. She sees them as creative inspiration. She notes that many of her visions never came true, like the one predicting that Mount Fuji would erupt in August 2021, which did not happen. However, believers in fate claim another of her manga predicts Fuji will erupt by 2036. In her dreams, she claims to have seen Mount Fuji from afar, helping her determine which areas would be affected and the severity of the disaster. Another of her unsettling visions points to a major earthquake and tsunami in Yokohama between June and September 2026. She saw water covering houses and the city completely flooded, an image that haunts many. Tatsuki insists she is not a clairvoyant. She says her dreams function more like metaphorical analysis of multiple variables, similar to a complex game of chess. They represent unconscious calculations of possible scenarios. In her view, dreams are not magic, but subconscious processing, which can still be misleading. Economic impact. According to Bloomberg Intelligence, the economic impact is already being felt. Travel bookings for early July have dropped sharply. Flights and hotel reservations from Hong Kong are down over 50%. Bookings from Vietnam, Thailand, and China have fallen by as much as 83%. Japan's tourism sector, still recovering from the pandemic, is suffering a heavy blow. Japanese officials are calling for calm. Miyagi Governor Yoshihiro Murai stated at a press conference, "There is no need to panic. The Japanese are not fleeing abroad in droves. I hope tourists will ignore the rumors and visit our country." However, reality suggests otherwise. The hashtag #FevJuly5 disaster is going viral and sparking mass panic, which seems to be intensifying as the date approaches. Experts argue that Tatsuki's past predictions were just coincidences, though unusually precise. Despite the lack of scientific proof, the fear is very real, especially given how fast such claims spread online. Ryo Tatsuki's life and dreams. Born on December 2, 1954 in Kanagawa, Japan, Ryo currently lives in Yokohama. As a child, she loved drawing and singing like any other kid. Nothing seemed extraordinary until, at age 9, she dreamt of a white-haired old man who was kind and friendly. He told her many things, though she hasn't revealed what exactly. In 1975, she began illustrating manga comics. On November 24, 1976, she had her first prophetic dream: the sudden death of Freddie Mercury. Though she didn't take it seriously at the time, she sketched it in her diary. 15 years later, on November 24, 1991, Freddie Mercury died. The news reports even used the same phrasing she had written in her dream journal. Other examples include a 1992 dream of a European palace, and a painting labeled Diana. Princess Diana died 5 years later on the same date, August 31. A 1995 dream led by the same old man, showing a cracked land. 15 days later, the Kobe earthquake struck. Tatsuki stopped publishing manga after The Future I Saw, but later returned with an updated edition in October 2021. The complete version of What I See in the Future. In both versions, the cover shows a girl covering her left eye, referencing a Bulgarian belief that the left eye represents the past and the right eye the future, a concept also used in Georgy Gospodinov's story, Blind Vaisha, and the animated film by Theodore Ushev. In the new edition, the girl no longer cries and even has a lucky line on her hand suggesting the future may not be all doom and gloom. A frightening vision for July 5. On August 20, 1991, Ryo dreamt of Mount Fuji emitting thick white smoke, followed by an eruption. She predicted the event might happen 15 years later, i.e., in 2006 or 2021. Both passed without incident, but in the updated manga, she adds 2 more Fuji-related dreams from 2002 and 2005. Some interpret this to mean that if the volcano does erupt someday, the consequences might be minimal. In 1999, while in India, Ryo dreamt of the Sea of Japan bubbling like boiling water, possibly due to an underwater volcano. She did not include this in the original manga. However, on July 5, 2021, she had the exact same dream again. This time, 2 giant dragons approached from the right, bubbles increased, and a massive tsunami surged toward land, flooding over 1/3 of Japan. She included this new dream in her updated manga, marking the most alarming part in bold letters. Please evacuate immediately. Ryo predicts the catastrophe will happen at 5:00 a.m. on July 5, 2025. In her manga, she describes, "I walked out the door and saw all the buildings on the street had collapsed. I kept walking until I reached a bridge. It had sunk into the sea. The coastal buildings were flooded with seawater, clearly just hit by a tsunami. Many believed this was about the 2011 tsunami. But in the new edition, Ryo clarifies that the dream was not about 2011, because what she saw was even worse. Many people believe it might be a premonition of what will happen on July 5, 2025, at 5 o'clock in the morning. At the end of the chaos, she describes an incredible and vibrant world. That's why the girl no longer cries in the new version of the manga. And interpreters are left wondering what it all means. Ryo Tatsuki herself refuses to speak or be photographed. There are some old photos of her from years ago, but very few people know what she actually looks like now. She has said she doesn't want fame and doesn't consider herself a prophet. She merely describes her dreams, but they might not even happen in our universe. Meanwhile, a Bulgarian remembers an old shop joke about the end of the world, where the foreman tells his crew to drink, but in moderation, because they still have to go to work the next day. So perhaps it'll be the same here. On July 5, a beautiful sunny day may just rise over Japan. But there are also inexplicable things, like how some people seem to remember events from the future that hasn't yet arrived, And those events really do happen later. And it serves as a reminder that time is actually a human measurement system, which may not be very applicable to the universe itself.